среща ще бъде проведена на английски език. Доколкото разбрах, колегите, които се включват онлайн, са преди всичко от Гърция, а водещ ще бъде Цвета Каменски. Цвета, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. My name is Cveta Kamensky. I'm assistant professor at the Healthcare and Social Work Department. Is everything okay with the sound?
Yeah.
You can hear me fine? Yeah, thank you. And I will be moderating today's session on disabilities and care. It is a great pleasure for me to welcome all of you and to see all of you virtually. And especially our international PhD students that will cover a variety of topics within the broad disability and care subject. Today we will tackle various aspects of the work with children with developmental delays and developmental disabilities in different cultural and societal contexts. Namely ASD, autism spectrum disorders, ADHD, attention deficit, hyperactivity disorder, stuttering, language disorders, etc., as well as the process of their inclusion in the educational system and in everyday life and social interrelations. We will talk about the reflection of the different special others, special children in art and in cinema. And last but not least, we will explore the role of parents, family, society in the support of such children, individuals, and their inclusion in our lives. I would like to encourage questions, but please write them in the chat or post them after the presentations. Something that I did not say, but I will, everybody, please be muted while the colleagues are presenting. First in my program is Cornelia Zucker. She will tell us about attention deficit hyperactivity disorder from diagnosis to intervention. Few words about Cornelia. She's a licensed school psychologist working in Nicosia, Cyprus. She has a private practice and she works with children, teenagers, parents in school environments. She has bachelor degree in psychology and master's degree in school educational psychology. At the moment, she's our PhD student at the Healthcare and Social Work Department in Public Health Program. Her research and focus are in the area of neurodevelopmental disorders such as ASD, autism spectrum disorder, ADHD, language disorder, and moreover, or more specifically, she is examining levels of parental stress and anxiety. She's investigating intervention practices, strategies in family and school environment, and so on and so forth. So it is my pleasure to welcome and invite Cornelia with the presentation and the topic attention deficit hyperactivity disorder from diagnosis to intervention. Cornelia, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for the welcoming, Zveta, and for the introduction. The sound is okay? All right, so I will share my screen. Okay, can you see?
No,
something's wrong.
Nothing there yet, yeah.
Okay.
Try unshare and then share again.
It says here that host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay, the colleagues from the boardroom, please make a co-host or host for the moment so she can share. Anything changed, Cornelia, or?
Yeah, try. You can try now. Yeah.
That's okay.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, now I think you see. All right. No, sorry, just a minute. Yeah, so today we're gonna speak about attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, otherwise ADHD, from diagnosis to intervention. My name is Cornelia. Hello to everyone. A little bit about myself. As Sveta already said, I'm from Cyprus. I'm working in private practice in Nicosia for 6 years now. I'm 31 years old. I have a daughter, 5 years old, and I'm expecting now the second one. I work as a psychologist, and I love working with children, families, schools, and everything that my workplace has to do. So I'm going straight to the subject. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is one of the most common neurodevelopmental disorders of childhood and continues also in adulthood. It appears in 5 to 7% of the student population and 3 in 1 in favor of boys, but however, many girls remain undiagnosed. The basic characteristic symptoms of ADHD are attention deficit, impulsivity, and hyperactivity. ADHD causes are, we see some genetic factors that are linked to ADHD, some neurobiological dysfunction, environmental factors, damage in the central nervous system. Now, a little bit about these neurobiological dysfunctions. We have a manifestation of neurobiological deficits, and some gene deficiencies are reduction of neurotransmitters in synapses, hypofunction of the anterior frontal lobe, and deficits of the executive functions. We also see some cerebral dopaminergic neurotransmission and dopamine. When we have a disturbed cerebral dopaminergic neurotransmission, we end up with impulsivity, mobility, deficits in reward, attention, and motivation behavior. Dopamine now is one of the organic substances used by neurons to communicate with each other, actively participates in the brain systems associated with actions for a cause. We can see the diagram also here. Cerebral cortex in ADHD. Many children with ADHD, we see that their cerebral cortex is delayed compared to normal children. Neural networks needed to work together. Some either need time to mature or are dysfunctional. The pharmaceutical treatment can help this connectivity. Executive functions are higher cognitive functions that form the basis of flexible, targeted behavior through processes of inhibitory control, attention shift, emotional self-regulation, or cognitive flexibility. As you see also here in the diagram, some functions in the prefrontal cortex of executive functions are empathy, insight, response flexibility, emotion regulation, body regulation, morality, intuition, attuned communication, and fear modulation. So these are some problems that our children with ADHD have some problems with, okay? And also the system of cognitive functions related to problem solving, social behavior, and organization. Also the brain, we see that is floating from emotion. The children with ADHD, they have emotional impulsivity, low tolerance to frustration, impatience, easy anger, hostility, reactivity, limited motivations, and reduced ability to remember, recall, use information and emotions, and to be able to watch other events, feelings, memories at the same time. So the multitasking is something that is very difficult with children diagnosed with ADHD. So some types now, according also to the statistical manual of diagnosis, are, firstly, you have the type of inattention. Second type, the type of impulsivity, hyperactivity. And the third, the combined type with inattention and impulsivity, hyperactivity together. According to the statistical manual DSM-5, we have 3 categories. The first one is carelessness and lack of attention. Some of them are often fails to pay close attention to detail and makes careless mistakes in schoolwork, homework, or other activities. He often finds it difficult to maintain his focus on activities or games. It often seems that he does not listen when addressed. He's often unable to follow instructions and does not complete his schoolwork or other obligations or duties in his workplace. It is often difficult to organize schoolwork and activities, often avoids, dislikes, or is reluctant to engage in tasks that require mental fatigue for a long time. He often misses the things that are necessary for work or activities. It often breaks down easily from external stimuli, and he often forgets things in his daily activities. This is about the first category of lack of attention. Now, the second one is hyperactivity impulsivity. We see here many children that often may move around his arms or legs nervously or turns around. They often leave their position in cases that require staying in their position, such as the desk, the work desk, etc. Often runs or climbs in situations where it's not appropriate. See here, this symptom, if we speak about adolescents or adults, they may be limited to a feeling of anxiety and often unable to play or engage in free time activities quietly. It often appears to be tuned, talks too much, answers without waiting for the question, finds it difficult to wait his turn, or interrupts others. And we also have some symptomatology for 16 years and above. We need at least 6 symptoms from each category and to be present for at least 6 months to a degree that is incompatible with a child's developmental level. And this has to affect his social and academic activities, of course. Now, for teenagers 17 and up and adults, we need at least 5 symptoms from each category, and that are not just the manifestation of adverse behavior, disobedience, hostility, or inability to understand tasks or instructions. Some additional categories, these symptoms need to appear before the age of 12 years old. Several symptoms are observed in 2 or more places. So here is very important for our assessment to make in both environments, school, family, see the child also. We are not based only from one assessment environment. There is clear evidence that the symptoms interfere with or reduce the quality of the individual's social, academic, or professional functioning. Here also our history background will help us see how these symptoms interfere with the child's everyday life. And the symptoms do not appear exclusively during the development of schizophrenia or other diagnosis of other disorder. I make here for you one diagram that says that ADHD, the 75% of the times is comorbid with another psychiatric disorder. Only the 25% of it is only ADHD. So it's very important to have in mind that when we diagnose a child with ADHD, we may have also comorbid some other diagnosis. And for those that will have a comorbid diagnosis, the 20% is only one, while the 80% is more than one diagnosis. And most of the times we may have some anxiety disorder or some learning disorder. We're gonna see also later. Some of them are learning language disorder that we see the 25 to 35% of the times, oppositional defiant disorder, mood disorders, autism spectrum disorder, disruptive behavior disorder, some medication for other diseases, sleep disorder, lurking organic diseases. So these are some other diagnoses or problems that a child with ADHD may face during this condition. To avoid the phenomenon of overdiagnosis, specialists should not base due to a single assessment, okay? So we have to take in our minds history, background. We see the parents, we speak with it, we see the child, we make critical observations in the classroom before the child meets the professional. So we have a clear image of the child, how it interacts with the teachers and in the school environment and the peers. We see the child in our office, so we can see one by one how he interacts. And we have a background history from family and from school at the same time. Yeah, so it has to be careful, comprehensive, timely, systematic, and multifaceted evaluation. Now, about the diagnosis, it's not coming from a single therapist, okay? Most of the times, somebody will observe it first, such that the teacher, the father, the mother, they will see that something is going on with the child. He has a lack of attention, he's very impulsive during everyday activities. So somebody has to refer the child to some therapist. Maybe they come first to us, to the psychologist. Maybe they will address the problems to their teacher. So it's like a link between the school, the psychologist, and after you have to refer, obviously, to the doctor, to the child psychiatrist, to make the final assessment of the child and see if we need some medication or any other intervention to help the child and the family, of course. Why is important? We have difficulties in mild difficulties, okay, that they can be treated with constant effort. We have moderate symptoms that they can lead to school failure, maladaptation, interpersonal problems, professional failure, smoking, and alcohol abuse. And we also have serious problems that can lead to poor prognosis, serious dysfunction, development of psychopathology, delinquency, accident, substance use. The treatment. Psychoeducation with the child, how to have this emotional dysregulation that I said before. He needs to learn how to manage his feelings, to have self-control, and all the other things that he needs to learn. Parent psychoeducation through counseling, intervention in the classroom, medication if needed, nutrition and diet, cognitive behavioral psychotherapy if we see that this works with a specific child we have, special education, and development of social skills. About the psychoeducation of the parents, they are, as we see, all the professionals, the most problem that we have with the children are not the symptoms as they are apart from the child, is also the family. The family has serious problems how to deal with these difficulties in everyday life. So this leads to parents to express more negative emotions, to be more pushing, to have fewer positive manifestations with the child. Although these difficulties in the parents are not causal, the above factors contribute to the negative outcome of ADHD. So it's very important to train the parents, have the direct work with them, modify and improve their parenting skills so they can improve their parent-child relationships. This could be based on modification techniques, and the results also depends on the age of the child. And of course, it's more beneficial if we start working with the child as soon as possible. So as soon as we see some problems, we recommend to go to a specialist to see the problems as soon as possible. Now, about the CBT, it's a type of psychotherapy which aims to help the person with this diagnosis to develop their own ways of solving problems and gain self-control. It has a consultative and collaborative character and facilitates the patient to be trained in self-guidance, improvement of problem management skills, stress management, etc. It works as a healer. It helps a person to see himself in the light of ADHD and not as guilty for everything that happens. That this is very important because a lot of teenagers or young children with ADHD, they think that I'm the bad one, I'm not good. Things that they also hear or from the classroom or from their families. And this is not good. The behavior is not correct, or we need to make some development on it, not the child on its own. So based on the understanding of the source of the problem, the defenses are reduced, the excuses, denials, and procrastination translate into explanations and coping strategies. Self-confidence is enhanced as the person begins to set and often conclude realistic goals. He sees more clearly and accepts his shortcomings and weaknesses. Medication, sometimes you have to target the neurochemical substrate of the disorder, strengthens behavioral management, and improves the main symptoms of ADHD, inattention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. The most common type of pharmacotherapy is neurostimulants, such as methylphenidate and dexamphetamine. And also, it sounds strange to use stimulant drugs to treat a hyperactivity disorder. In many children, it seems to have the opposite effect. There are also non-stimulant drugs, such as atomoxetine. Nutrition diet is very important. As you see, a lot of foods are better at keeping blood sugar levels stable, thus improving their concentration. These foods can be especially helpful for people with ADHD. Some of them are rich in protein, meat, poultry, eggs, nuts, complex carbohydrates, fruits, vegetables, pasta, vitamins and minerals such as iron, fatty acid, O3, and we have, of course, to avoid foods rich in preservatives, soft drinks, etc. This is a very common problem we have with families because they're an attention child. Okay, come, I will give you chocolate. Please be more silent or better. This is wrong because we make it worse. Special education in the classroom, okay? Many of children with ADHD, we see that have a comorbid special learning difficulty. One of them is dyslexia. Now in DSM is specific learning disorder. We see otherwise in impairment in mathematics, impairment in reading, and impairment in written expression. And we also have to cope with the attention deficit problems that the child is facing. Intervention in the classroom. Through our report, when we see and diagnose the child and make the assessment, we make a report that will have to make some suggestions both to the family and to the school, how to help and intervene in the classroom and to have a better student. So we have to modify the classroom environment, we have to adapt the teaching and behavior management. Firstly, about the modification in the classroom environment, we have a special placement of student. We have to have the child close to the teacher, away from visual stimuli, such as windows, noises, and to have this child on the same desk as a model student, relative freedom of movement on the desk. We have to introduce the student's kinetic energy without interfering with the learning processes. So here we have to give to the child many responsibilities, such as responsible for erasing the blackboard, handing out notebooks or booklets. So I give him some opportunities to stand up and have some kinetic movements in the classroom while he's responsible for something. Third, classroom space organization. We can use a monthly calendar with marked important dates, so it can help the children see the calendar and be more easy for him to be organized. Recognition of sensory overload, prompting, allow small outlet for water or toilet, very clear routine with alternations, pre-agreed cue movements. Teaching adaptation, material presentation, such as brief blueprints, concept maps, etc., giving instructions. We have to use enthusiastic voice, sharp instructions with a few limbs, clarifying instructions to make sure that the child understands. A child with ADHD, he needs to have fewer and simple instructions so he can be better in the tasks he needs to be. Homework, we have to use calendar, reduced homework, reduced amount per page, extra time, and promote collaborative work. Use of assistive technology, many children, they can work better through a tablet or something in the classroom. So this is another thing that we suggest in the classroom. And lastly, behavior management. We have to repeat several times what the desired behavior in the classroom is. Positively reinforcement. Well done, you finished on time. Instead, well done, you did not delay. Something else very important, we have, when we speak to a child, we have to address the positive behavior that we need. So he knows to repeat, not to repeat the negative one. So the not delay, he will remember delay. But when we say finish on time, he will remember, oh, I will finish on time. Okay. Rules of the classroom, writing in a visible place, zero tolerance for bad behavior towards classmates and vice versa, with use of consequences, collaboration with parents. And that's it. Thank you everyone for your attention. I hope that was helpful or interesting for you. Thank you.
Cornelia, thank you. That was a really interesting presentation. I'm very pleased when I hear such presentations, very amply done, I mean, with a lot of information, and yet, like not—
Yes, I try to explain also in
not
some
too
cases
much.
with
Yes,
some, yes, I know.
Because the information on the topic is a lot.
Yes, I know.
And you summarized it fantastically. You took us from the description of ADHD, of the symptomatics, etiopathogenetics or the causes, diagnostics, and then I'm very pleased that you actually talked about intervention. A few things I would like to say. I've heard about gluten-free and casein-free diets that are good for ADHD as well as ASD. And also, together with the cognitive behavioral therapy, we have applied behavioral analysis and therapy that apply in cases with ADHD, especially when comorbid with ASD. Now I'll open the floor for questions from the colleagues. If anyone wants to, you can stop sharing, Cornelia, the screen. Thank you. If anyone has questions from the colleagues from the boardroom or the ones online, please go ahead. This is your time. Looks like no questions. Looks like you were very clear.
I explained everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Cornelia. I would like now to introduce the next our next PhD student, Alexandros. I don't see him here. Is Alexandros here? No. And then probably we'll go to Hanin Ali. Hi, Hanin. I'm very pleased to see you.
I'm here.
Hi, very pleased to see you because I know you since your master's time. Hanin will tell us about the role of parents as part of childhood starter treatment. She is a PhD candidate in Department of Healthcare and Social Work at the MBU. She has got her Bachelor of Hearing and Speech Sciences from the University of Jordan. She herself is from Libya. And she grew up in different cultures, each of which she considers gave her a special part and special feeling about accepting others and the different ones. Her passion is to bring the knowledge she'll acquire at our university to her country, Libya, that lacks specifically this type of professionals. Nice to see you too. I mean, I was hearing you before. Nice to see you.
Yeah, really. Me too.
So I will ask the colleagues in the room to give Haneen presenter's rights, and so she can upload her presentation. And I'm giving her the floor. I'm muting myself.
Mm-hmm.
Haneen, did you see the green square
No.
share screen button?
No.
Guys, can you give Haneen a presenter's rights in the boardroom? Дали някой може да даде на Ханин правата на презентат, да сподели екрана си? Извинете, защото май не ме чувате.
Би трябвало да има тези права, т.е. разрешено е в момента.
Haneen, they're telling me that you can share. Try to move your mouse down.
Yeah, that's here.
You have to have a green square or rectangle.
Yeah, I have the green,
press it. Exactly, arrow.
No.
Please press it. And you will be able to share your screen with all of us.
You can see it now,
No, try it again. Stop sharing and then...
Like this one's work here.
No. Okay. Go up on your screen and press stop sharing. Then go down again.
I can't do it. Now it's work.
I don't see it. Anyone? Do you see it? Cornelia, do you see it?
Haneen, do you see the buttons down that it says mute, stop video, participants, chat? It has another button, share screen. You see?
No, I can't see it. No.
You need to
If you send me the presentation, I can share it. Probably it will be easier.
Okay.
Could you write in the chat the email address she should send it to? Okay, Haneen, could you please send to this email your presentation so the colleagues can share?
Okay.
Thanks.
I don't know how to...
Did you manage to send it, Haneen?
Yeah, I will send it.
Okay. So we'll wait for the colleagues in the boardroom to upload your presentation. Meanwhile,
I send it now.
Yeah. Meanwhile, maybe you want to tell us a few words, or want to share with us something about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe we can continue, I mean, till we fix the receiving of the presentation and so on. Maybe we can continue with Marta or Maria Scalario.
Yes,
I could also.
If you want, I can continue. I can try to share my screen.
Okay. All right. Then I'd like to introduce you.
Martha.
Or rather, you will introduce yourself because you didn't send me your introduction.
Okay.
This is Marta Scalario.
Yes.
Is that right? Scalario.
Yes, Marta Scalario.
And she will talk about general guidelines for the design of curricula for students with intellectual disability. And she will say a few words about herself.
Okay, I included a slide in my presentation with some information about me.
So you can try to share screen now.
Yes. Can you see my screen? Okay. Well, the topic that I will talk about is general guidelines for the design of curricula for students with intellectual disability. I'm a PhD student. My studies are in computer engineering and special education. I have worked so far as a special education informatics teacher since 2017 in Greek Ministry of Education. My PhD topic is development and implementation of educational software application for teaching social rules to disabled children. The proclaimed principle of education for all implies structural educational reforms and changes in teaching methodology, additionally ensuring the consensus and pre-agreed effort for the teaching, scientific and support staff of the school, but also from peers and parents. The design of the curriculum is required to be in line with current pedagogical trends concerning students with intellectual disability, such as...
Marta, sorry, can you change the slide?
Well, I tried not to read what I have in my slides.
You'll just talk to us, right?
Well, in each slide, I have some other things that are more detailed in my.
Okay, it's a matter of your choice. It's a matter of your choice. That's okay. I just wanted to make sure that you cannot. I mean, this is what you want.
Yes, yes.
I mute myself. Thank you.
Yes, I tried not to read my slides, so I have other things that are more detailed in my notebook. Such as satisfying educational needs and strengthening students' integration and conclusion. Education should aim at the harmonious physical, cognitive, social, aesthetic, and emotional development of students, and to enable students to act responsibly and collaborate with others to achieve common goals. The Aspirations of curriculum designs general framework for students with intellectual disability are providing conditions that allow students to develop their personality, creating conditions for lifelong learning, maintaining cohesion through providing equal opportunities, and cultivating common attitudes and values, developing a climate of cooperation and collectivity. The multi-faceted support of teachers for the development of their professional skills are general education teachers who need to rely on finding ways in media and handling methods so that students with intellectual disability are not affected or feel disadvantaged and isolated. Effective educational treatment of students with a moderate and mild intellectual disability requires a more flexible school system that will ensure a greater freedom in maintaining the academic curriculum per school community and in supporting teachers in the differentiation and individualization of educational programs for students with special educational needs. The flexibility and the differentiation of curricula are central issues of inclusion culture in general schools. The main objectives of curriculum framework for students with intellectual disabilities are students' individual educational progress and the maximum possible integration of students in general classrooms. Also, it is important to support school communities and teachers to set goals that meet the needs of students, to design learning environments with a variety of challenges and interests, to overcome potential barriers to learning faced by students with intellectual disability. Enriching the general curriculum with goals and activities aims to improve learning, social life, and school performance of students. Schools should be organized and structured to promote and support social interaction and solidarity. Particularly important are the informal or hidden curriculum, where the attitudes of teachers, parents, and students, the operation of the school, the classroom routine, and the use of the school premises are factors of acceptance and education of students with intellectual disability. The school's relationship with the wider community, relationships, for example, between parents and teachers, plays a key role in the success of the goals set. The curriculum should enable the development of communication skills in students, such as development of communication skills, response to communicating with others, interaction with others, successful communication, identification of symbols in everyday interaction, self-control, control behavior. A fundamental principle of curriculum is the communication and cooperation between students, teachers, parents, and local community. Group and collaborative activities help students become aware of their strengths and weaknesses and face common problems together. Collaboration helps students with mild to moderate intellectual disability to meet the needs of verbal and non-verbal communication, to observe and follow behavioral patterns in a safe, guided, and structured environment, to develop their social intelligence in a variety of social situations and interactions, and to develop positive interpersonal relationships. Exercising in the skills of self-care, personal care, free time management, communication, and collaboration opportunities can cultivate a sense of personal worth and dignity, the development of self-esteem and self-awareness. The feeling of adequacy through active participation contributes to a good emotional state, cultivating students' mental health, autonomous living, suggested emotional skills to be integrated into school curriculum for students with intellectual disability are recognizing others' emotions in situations in everyday life and practicing ways to manage and reduce unwanted behaviors, practicing self-control for aggressive or self-destructive behaviors, avoiding unacceptable behaviors, developing ways of self-esteem in relation to their activities. The development of oral language skills is essential for the needs of communication and students' thought. The enrichment of oral speech is practiced and developed in the classroom and during the daily operation of the school. New vocabulary and syntactic shapes, logical and comprehensive organization of expressing daily personal and emotional needs, active participation in expressive through dialogue with the collective context. Cultivating practical thinking can lead to self-improvement of learning and utilization of knowledge for their daily needs. Self-improvement skills include those that are required for identifying activities, their tasks, and prerequisite behaviors for implementing alternatives, for identifying errors, for redefining objectives, for developing attention and concentration skills. The curriculum should help students develop creativity. It should promote the encouragement of students to construct, design, guess, and imagine. Aesthetic education helps to discover the creative side of themselves and highlights the creative aspects of students' personality. Computers can use, and the use of multimedia directly provide sensory learning experiences and encourage practical thinking. Students can see their progress tangibly, take their responsibility for their learning, and self-evaluate the quality of their work. Educational intervention through computers helps to strengthen and focus students' attention, patience, and perseverance. Using the right and available technology can improve the terms and conditions of success of the curriculum and enhances student communication and learning. People with mild to moderate intellectual disability can participate more actively in economic and social life with the right help and support. Pre-vocational education should develop interpersonal skills, training in resource management capacities to develop effective communication with others and collaboration skills. Skills related to the following are really necessary for students to develop their pre-vocational training capacities, which are time management, use of incentives, recognizing rules, self-acceptance of appropriate tools, and learning rules. The interdisciplinary approach of the curricula provides flexibility to teachers to integrate specific goals and special programs in the common general program to meet the special educational needs of students with moderate and mild intellectual disability. The topics can be developed in parallel with the rest of the program and may last from a few hours to several weeks. the content of the interdisciplinary approach can be a broad topic that draws material from many courses and exercises many areas of skills. It requires a holistic approach and cultivation of converging skills such as vocabulary, expression, computational ability, knowledge, and social skills. The interdisciplinarity can either be applied in addition to the conventional schedule or to be the methodological and thematic basis of the school curriculum. The above priority areas are directional and can be extended to different levels depending on the means available to each school. They give the necessary conditions for the integration of children with disabilities in the ordinary classroom and provide opportunities for progress and increasing challenges for students who cannot learn through traditional teaching methods. Decisions regarding the scope, time, and balance in the teaching of the various skills proposed should be subject to continuous evaluation and adjustment based on the special educational needs of the specific students, but also their progress in the evaluation of the teacher, as well as those who work with the child. Thank you for your attention. I hope that the information was clear.
Thank you so much, Marta. Marta enlightened us in this presentation on the specifics of the design of curricula for students with intellectual disabilities. Of course, these students have to be at school, they have to have social life, they have to acquire knowledge. I'm sorry. She underlined the importance of language acquisition, because very often they have deficits in linguistic performance. And even more important, she emphasized the importance of acquisition of real life skills for these individuals. Any questions? Anyone from the boardroom, from the virtual space? Martha, I would urge you to talk about the challenges in that your topic might entail, because there are many challenges when it comes to designing curricula for different
yes, the topic that I chose is very general. So I tried not to, I tried to talk generally and not include extending information. I included information that was required in order to understand the topic in a general sense.
Sure.
Well, okay.
Next time you'll tell us about the challenges. Okay. Thank you so much. I think we can invite Hanin if we are ready with the presentation from the boardroom.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Just a second, I'll share it.
Sorry, I can't see the.
You will. Give it a minute.
Yeah.
Can you see now, Hanin?
Thank you. Yeah. Hello, my name is Haneen. I am from Libya. I PhD candidate with the brief presentation for me. My interest in this subject is involved the parenting treatment for many reasons. One of this reason is the big number in my country. We don't have the big number for specialists, and we have big number for special need children, whatever the diagnosis for these children. As well, if can we got the specialist, the cost is very high to go every child to specialist. That's why for me, for my point of view, the solution to both problem, the big number of children and the small number of specialists, to focus on the training program that include the parents in therapy, because when includes the parents, the number of sessions is will reduce and the cost as well. Yeah, this thing is not a new thing. They do that in the previous time, many times. I can't change the slides.
More?
Hello.
I'm sorry, I have trouble hearing,
Second
but
slide,
the second. Okay. Is this the one? Okay.
My voice is not clear.
I have trouble figuring out what you want me to do.
The second slides, please.
That should be the second slide, the one you see currently.
No, we see the first one. We see the master slide, the title.
Okay, then it's not changing when I share it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Well, you won't be seeing it on the full screen then.
Mm-hmm. The parents as a part of the childhood stuttering, the speech and language patterns involved the treatment of the child stuttering have increasingly emphasized the need of the parents, because what said before, because the cost is very high to bring the child every session to the specialist. And this thing is do the previous time in 1930s and 1940s, not a new thing to do. The second slide, please. Third slide. Yeah. The core point of successful parent involved depended on the ability of the parent and the clinician to reach the consensus on the issue, such as the parent role in the onset and development of stuttering. The rationale is include the parent influence intervention and the importance early interventions. The next. In the previous time, they only focus on the counseling parents to work with the child, but now we do more thing and include the parents in the intervention itself, not only in the counseling. Next. In the previous time, suggested a more active role of the parents when he proposed the speech language clinician, train them to observe and then modify the version environment, even that seems practicing their child stuttering, not only modify the movement but the environment as well. Next. The modification of the parents' speech behavior when talking with their children is more tree counseling, speak more slowly, refer more interruption, do not question the child excessively. That's only instruction give to the parents. But now we want more to include the parents in the therapy. Next. As one instruction clinics give to the parent modify the linguistic length and the complexity of the utterance, and the paralinguistic speak rate and taking behavior are incorporating into the intervention strategy. Next. The program or the method I want to speak today, how to include the parents in the intervention, is the most, I think, famous program or method to include them, the parent-child interaction therapy. This program or intervention is evidence-based intervention from young children who stutter, can reduce the stuttering in preschool children. The concept of this program is 6 sessions of clinical-based therapy and 6 weeks of the parent-led home-based therapy. This study highlights the individual response to the therapy. Indirect method of the manage, which require the parent to make change in their interaction style with the aim of facilitating fluency in the child. Next. The approach is flexible, can be studies to meet the individual need of the child and the family. Stuttering is discussed openly and the parents are encouraged to acknowledge the stuttering with the child. The program is explained in the aim to empower the parent to manage their children's stuttering and increase their confidence in their own skill, as well as seeks to increase the fluency in the child. This is the big aim for the therapy. Indirect therapy, it's the program were recommended as the first stage of managed by retest, but this does not exclude more direct in the future if the more direct if the indirect is not work for this child. Next. Start with the evaluation of the child's strength and need. We evaluate the respective language, expressive language, articulation, speech rate, social communication skill, as well as severity of the stuttering. That's more important thing. To exclude everything, it may have the child contributed with the other disorder. After evaluation is completed, the result of the evaluation are present to the parents in terms to child strength and need. In formulating, summarize the factors that may contribute to the stuttering, as well as thus help development fluency and suggest therapy option. Next. The first session, there's only feedback from the consultation is review, and special time is negotiation. What's the mean special time is 5-minute play time that each parent has individual with the child between 3 and 5 minutes per week. Next. Special time. The purpose of special time is to provide the parent with the decision time in which they practice their choice in interaction target and relax one-to-one communication setting. Special time is considered to be foundation of the therapy program and is conducted throughout the therapy process. The parents are asked to reflect on their use target during the special time and make written record to prove the received feedback at the start of each subsequent session. Parents eventually generalize their skill outside the special time in the other time and day to other contexts as they become more confident and professional. Next. After the second sessions, through the second and through the sixth sessions, begin with review of special time feedback from then review the program during the week. The parent playtime is then video record and appraised by each parent. Interaction targets are selected individually and the rationale for proposed change is discussed. Parents then practice their target individually with the child during another brief playtime. That is also video record, so they can identify situation when they have achieved their target. Next. After the finish 6-week clinical-based therapy, start with another 6 week is only at home. After complete the first 6 weeks of meeting with the clinician, the parents work alone at home for the second 6 weeks period of consultation of their new behavior. However, the parent continues to send homework recording to their clinician each week and continues the 5-minute daily interaction time each parent does with the child. At the end of 6 weeks consultation period, the family meet with the clinician for the pre-initial assessment, and it's expected that child fluency will increase. If the child fluency is increased and continues to improve, in this case, the parents are asked to continue working on the changes. They are making another review is scheduled 6 weeks later. If the child's fluency is not improved, more directed method treatment is introduced. Next. The parent-child interaction therapy is focused on two concepts: the managed strategy and the interaction strategy. The management instruction strategy explain about the need to help parents address the issue, such as manage anxiety about stuttering, coping with the sensitive children, confidence building, and other behavior management techniques, such as setting boundaries and the retention. Next. And interaction strategy, because the change in one aspect of the interaction may be helpful for one child fluency and not others. They are not universal or prescribed target with the program. Targets are selected by the parent on the besides their understanding of their child's need and their knowledge of time. When their child is more fluent, because the change is one interaction variable can have the indirect impact on the other. Targets are not all identified with the parent at the start of the therapy, but selected in a competitive manner over the session. Next. The goals of the treatment. The primary goal of the partner child interaction therapy is to establish foundation of the parent understanding, knowledge, skill, and confidence in the managed stuttering, which will support and augment the child fluency during each stage of therapy. Another goal is not reduce the family anxiety about stuttering and ultimately reduce the incidence of stuttering in young children to within normal limits. Next. That's the last slide. If you have any question, and thank you for listening. I hope the sound is clear.
Thank you, Haneen. The sound was very clear. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed your presentation on the inclusion of the structured inclusion of parents in the treatment of stuttering in children. Of course, we all know that with the concept of early childhood intervention, focus shifts from therapeutic focus on children to engagement and inclusion of parents, as do many ABA programs as well. By the way, I wanted to tell you that the special time we call mommy time, time of the mother. Bit prejudiced, but we have it in our practice as well. So thank you for your input on PCIT. Questions, anyone? Okay, looks like
I would like to try, yes, Hello, Hanin. Hello. I just wanted to ask you: did you practice this to parents and cases, or?
Yeah, but not in the formal way. In the clinic, I use this method to work with the children. It's work.
It's working.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, sounds very interesting. That's why, and also
family is very have free time to do that. Most the family they said no, it's take time, and we don't have time enough to do every day 5 minutes and so on. This depended on the parents.
Yes, depends on the parents. Yes,
It
you think that
always depends on the human factor, Cornelia.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, I suggest you can discuss the topic later on. I mean, since you know
yeah, that's perfect. Yes,
thank you for your question.
To see if,
yeah,
thank you.
Now we have 2 more participants left: Maria Marotanasi and Maria Scalario.
Hello. I was first in the program before Martha.
You're Maria Marotanasi.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So
let me say a few words about yourself, about you, because I'm doing this for everyone. And then if you want to add something, you will be welcome to do so. Maria will talk about discourse analysis on the aspect of people in ASD, autism spectrum disorder, in media. And her presentation will be based on a case study of a Greek broadcast. Little about Maria. She's teacher of Greek language. She works at a school in the island of Tassos, where she lives with the family. She's second-year PhD candidate, and she is working on the perception of children with developmental disorders or delays and perception of these children of parents and teachers under the light of cultural factors. Maria, you're welcome to start your presentation. We just need permission for
to share.
Presenter to share from the boardroom.
Okay, just give me a second. So there it is. Well, I'm going to talk to you about the language because this is my first degree, and I would like to see to present how are the stereotypes are formed, and if there are stereotypes about the people, especially in the autism spectrum disorder, and how are they presented in the media. First, let me start from what is critical discourse analysis. It is a methodology that enables a vigorous assessment of what is meant when language is used to describe and explain. We believe that the language does not only convey the meaning, but also creates the meaning. Therefore, it is a vehicle, I could say, for the categorization that we make and the stereotypes that we have in our minds to address to these people. According to the discourse analysis, the discourse analysis admits that it conveys the language. The language choices convey the ideology of the elites, the part of the society which has the potential to make the beliefs, to make all the institutions that they finally govern our life. So under this light, it would be interesting to see, and as I have read during these days while I was searching for my paper, there is a serious critical research made over this issue, because the language that we use, the medical language, the terminology that we use, it's not neutral. Actually, it has implications, practical implications, as the other scholars say, about what we believe. for these people, and what do we believe about their potential to cure or to integrate in the society. So in the media, in general, we would say that there is a unanimous stereotypical representation of disabled people. In general, I would say that the frame is that in general, these people are in potential, or they are courageous warriors, or they are pity-deserving people, while they're confronting a situation and an indifference actually from the state and maybe from the social environment. But these stereotypes are a kind of, I would say, a categorization, which is based on a cognitive overlap between the observed or shaped by the communication features and behaviors of a target group. In few words, I want to say that our mind, our brain has needs to make categories. And these categories must be dense, must be of high density of information, because we want this way to maximize the accuracy of the predictive inference and how we interact with other people. So the labeling, actually, the categorization, is a narrowing processing that it serves to social knowledge and communication processes. This categorization, it depicts what the people, the frame, the beliefs that the people have in their minds. It's the semantic knowledge and the consensus that we have about some categories of people. But as I am working on my research, in all cultures, the perception of autism is not the same. So it means that the terminology that we use and the connotations that they bear with are very much marked of the cultural beliefs and in general, what do the people, because of the religion, because of the system, because of the political and economical system, they have formed in their minds of what is to be disabled in a society. There is recently what I found, a discussion about how we should address and how should we categorize people in autism, in the spectrum of autism disorder. So there is one suggestion from Vivanti, who argues that first is better to place the person and then its identity. So he says that a better way to address to these people is to say person with autism, because this, according to his arguments, placing first the identification means that this determines his identity. Meaning that this is a crucial, the most central identity, the most central characteristic to define this person, which leads to stigmatization and dehumanization. But from the other aspect, there is the arguing that if we say first the person and then what is the disability that he has diagnosed with, it's like we separate these two. And as in many cultures, the autism is perceived as an evil power which comes from outside. It has been very dangerous, because in the United States, according to the literature, some people had killed their children with autism because they wanted to get rid of this autism, like being something separate from the person. So now they have shifted to the paradigm. Sorry, can I continue? I thought I heard something, sorry. So now there is a shift to call, in the medical at least, terminology, people on the spectrum disorder, because this prepositional form, linguistic form, links better to a situation, that it is a situation which can change or cannot change, but anyway, it is not the most central characteristic of the person. It's like we say it can be replaced by the same syntax as we say people on vacation. So people on the spectrum disorder. But yet there are still people that say, scholars that say that even if we use only, which we use, we can see that in the media or everywhere, that we use only the medical terminology, which is because of practical reasons, focusing on the negative characteristics. I mean, we have the classification according to the traits and the behavior that it's not normal. It focuses on the abnormalities, which is also very dangerous because it does not imply anything of the real situation and does not really help to personalize each category, because not all the people on spectrum disorder have the same characteristics or they have the same grade of intervention that could mild the symptoms. Anyway, according to the research I've done through cultures, still in many cultures, autism remains a taboo. In our Greek society, it's still a taboo, and it's still very prone to stigmatization. That's why I wanted to see how in a Greek broadcast, which is very not famous, it's not famous enough, but it has a different aspect because they focus in this, I can share it if you wish to see, to show you some things. They focus from the aspect of the sentiments and not, they want to reveal this, the blind spots of every situation, of the social issues, which are very crucial in our society. So this very episode, which had the title, the signs, the signals, sorry, the signals of the, sorry, because no, okay, it's now here, the signals of autism. She had presented a mother that with a son with a very severe symptoms of ASD, and she spoke, the questions were focused on how she perceived it, how she felt, what are the difficulties that she had to confront while she had to deal with it, and what was the practical help she had. So from this aspect, which was totally different of what the current media presentation are for these people, because as the organization of the autism in the United States, there is an organization that has the Research Autism Organization, it says. In their research, they found that in Hollywood and in other films or the mass media in United States, they present only the 10% of the people, of the children with ASD, which are charismatic, gifted, or they struggle with social interactions. But at least they find it out. But we don't know, it's unrealistic because we don't know actually how it is to be a caregiver from the, of people, of children who have severe symptoms. And it was the aspect that is that this broadcast has revealed. So the problem is that the broadcast is totally in Greek, so I couldn't do the real discourse analysis in the English language. It would be very difficult for me. So what I am trying to communicate today is the overall sense and the nuance somehow, the key of how is preserved probably in our society, because it's something that I am still researching, the fact of being a caregiver in Greece. From the nuances, from the questions, and from the linguistic forms that they used, it seems the general gist is that it is very, very difficult to be a caregiver, since there are no infrastructures and there is no any provision of the state to help mothers and to facilitate their difficult role. It was a sensitive human approach. The mother was questioned of how she is in her personal life, how she had to deal with the fact that she had to divorce, how is her friend, if she had friendships, and if she had the money to deal with it. There weren't linguistic forms, choices. It was a very careful language choices. She was very careful with the language she used, although she had managed to reveal the sensitive, the aspect of the sentiments of how these people feel. And if we could say, the conclusion was that it is a conviction if you have to deal with such a situation, provided that there is no facilitation, no help, no aid, practical aid, which is the reality in our society. I hope it was useful. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Maria. It was a very interesting, unusual presentation in our field. To something to reflect, to be a reflection of our mindset and stigma. How do they reflect in the language choices we make every day, especially when it comes to people or individuals with ASD. You tackled the cultural side of it. You said it's a conviction as per the Greek caregivers and mother. I have to say that here it feels quite the same because I work with such children, I work with their parents, I pick their choices of language and so on and so forth. And no matter that your study was done in Greece, your research, if you do the same research in Bulgaria, you won't find out the same approach. I mean, not approach, but the same feeling, let's say. I would encourage
can I ask you, does it, from your experience and from your knowledge, does it have to do with the facilities or the culture? Because we have many in common as Balkans.
It's the culture, it's the mindset. It's the mindset, it's the way we perceive the world. Because I've seen other countries where they don't have much better facilities, but they perceive it as something that happened to them. It just happened to them. It is the way it is, and they deal with it in a very different way without the conviction part. But yeah, in Greece, I don't know about the situation in Greece, but in Bulgaria, well, the state is giving some monthly payments to these people. However, ASD patients are still very much stigmatized. Parents are convicted to be with them 24/7. They are very difficult to be included at school. So it's something we can really discuss in depth, especially your fellow linguists. So I'll be very pleased to meet you when you come over in Bulgaria. I would encourage questions from the boardroom, the distant boardroom, virtually. Or any comments even? Okay, no questions, no comments. Looks like, thank you so much, Maria. It, to me and to everyone else, I guess, but particularly close to my heart, this topic. So thank you so much.
Maria.
And,
thank you. Can I ask you something very much? Thank you. Just a comment from me. Is it possible to have the presentation of my other colleagues so as to, because in hearing even my presentation would be interesting to somebody else. Can we have them in a mail or something like that so as to?
I will take care of that. There's no problem at all. But I know the colleagues are recording. To me, a very good option. Actually, I can give you both options. I can ask the colleagues to send me the recording of today's session, and we can all share it, we can all download it. Plus, we will exchange our presentations.
Yes, so better to have time to read them.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
Sure.
Excuse me, can I ask a question, please? Sveta, it's Vesi.
Floor yours.
Well, hello, my name is Vasilina Kadreva. I'm a teaching assistant at the psychology department at New Bulgarian University. Well, my question concerned cultural differences. You already discussed with Sveta something about similarities between Greece and Bulgaria, but anyway, I think cross-cultural differences in attitudes are very interesting, and based on differences in these results, some inferences might be made related to different possibilities to challenge these stereotypes. So any interesting cross-cultural differences and what stands behind these differences? Because so was my question clear?
This is my aim. That's what I'm trying to find in my research. So far, from what I found during my research, there is in general, which is very, very general, that there is a different aspect, a different attitude in Eastern societies and in Western societies.
Okay.
I think we in the Balkans, we're in the middle. That's why we cannot say that even this, it's not very clear. It's not that we share the medical 100%, the medical model which they have, the Anglo-Saxons and in the United States. So they believe that it is a medical condition. So what we have to do is just do the intervention or what other the science give us as an instrument to do. We, in the Eastern part, because of the religion, because of the social organization, their social relations are very, very dense. We're not like the Anglo-Saxons, which is an atomistic society. We're a collectivistic society. Still, we are in the Balkans. So this creates another way of perceiving this kind of difficulties. And we are traditional societies. Which it gave me the incentive to start. When I work in a school and when we approach a family and say that there are difficulties, the Greek parents, they perceive it somehow like, okay, we can work on it. The newer, younger parents, not the older parents. In my age, for instance, when I was a child and when I was at school, the Albanians, though, they don't accept it. It's very rare. They say, okay, it's something we should not deal with it, or okay, anyway, we can do something else. See, it has to do with the type of the society. Religion is one parameter.
Yeah, you mentioned religion several times.
Collectivistic paradigm, I think, is another parameter. Stigmatization, facilities, because here we don't have many facilities, especially free. You have to pay. And for the people from that they are immigrants, they don't have the money. And there is not also the sensitivity, the cultural sensitivity that they need, the therapists and the teachers need to have in order to. These are my first thoughts. I could be very helpful and very grateful if you could help me with your ideas, really, because I think it's something that we have to search.
I'm not an expert in the field, but I do find the topic interesting. So this is why I'm just asking. So what about religion? In what way does it form attitudes towards people
the
with
religion
disabilities?
Says that there is a determination. It is something like sin.
Which aspect of religion? Okay.
Yes, it's sin. Or it is something that like a punishment. So you have to deal with it and be patient with it, because it's something that you have to learn by it, or to regret for your sins that you did.
Yeah. So it is very interesting for me if you yourself, have you collected any data with this regard?
I had. Not from Greece yet, because it's something I'm working and I will work in the, but from other countries, yes, I did. I think it's very solid, the theoretical part of I think it is solid, the theoretical part of the dissertation so far, so I could share it with you if you would like to.
I'll be extremely interested to hear about it or to read it, because it's quite a fascinating topic for me.
Thank you very much, and I'm waiting for your help too. Okay. Maybe we could do this cross-cultural together.
Yeah,
it would
be really interesting.
Yeah. I think it would be very interesting because we have common. There is a common background, which is what?
Yeah. Okay. So, okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Vesi. Благодаря, Vesi. Very nice to talk with muted mic. We have our last participant, Maria Scalario.
Yes, hello.
Hi, Maria. Maria has a master's degree in education, history, local history, research and didactics. Also, a joint master degree in special education. And now she is a special education teacher in Greek Ministry of Education. Her presentation topic is adjustments in primary school curriculum for students with light and moderate intellectual disability. Maria, floor is yours. Colleagues, may I ask you to give Maria presenter's rights so she can share screen.
Okay, can I share my screen?
You should be able to, in order to show us your presentation, right?
Yes, I'm sorry, I have not a camera. Maybe has a problem.
That's not a problem for screen sharing. We will not be able to see you, but screen sharing is not a problem if you don't have a camera.
Okay, give me a minute, please. Okay, can you see?
Fantastic. Okay. Yeah. You can start, please, Maria.
Yes, hello from me. I'm Maria Scalario, and my topic for today's presentation is adjustments in primary school curriculum for students with mild and moderate intellectual disability. Here is my short curriculum vitae, and you. Okay, for an effective educational progress and the successful development of students with mild and moderate intellectual disability social skills, It is necessary to prepare an open, flexible, and adaptable curriculum that will include the context of their studies, that will respond to their multifaceted educational and social needs. Students with mild and moderate intellectual disability attend special education schools, but very often we meet them in general schools where they follow the common curriculum. Consequently, students often need additional supportive intervention working with special education teachers and specific variation to existing curriculum framework. The terms of adaptation, modification, and differentiation can be used interchangeably to describe the process of identifying effective approaches to provide each student with appropriate conditions to access and participate in the learning process. The adaptations of the common curriculum must be designed and implemented as part of students' individualized educational program and must be functionally connected to any additional specialized support that the students need. The modifications to the common curricula in general classrooms can vary accordingly to students' needs, capabilities, and interests. Classroom's daily program and classroom climate may also contribute to the different forms and the extension of curriculum's differentiation. In the case of partial or even full study in general classroom for students with intellectual disability who face milder difficulties in learning, they are supported by special education teachers, specialist scientific staff, and services with corresponding utilization of additional financial resources. The responsibility of their integration is collective and individual. It belongs proportionally to each member of the school community, depending on his position, role, and responsibilities. Not just the special education teacher or school management. The modifications to the common curricula in general require the systematic cooperation between the general education teacher of the classroom, the special education teacher, the interdisciplinary team of professionals, and the diagnostic team of educational counseling support centers who provide the differential diagnosis and support. A differentiated educational curriculum may include adaptations to the level of its teaching objectives, learning outcomes, and cognitive content, its didactic and pedagogical approach, classroom organization, for the cooperation between students and teachers, its learning activities and teaching materials, and the proposed way of students and curriculums evaluation. Differentiating the daily school curriculum is a challenge for teachers in the general classroom. The class teachers can apply differentiating practices during the development of the teaching process, but these interventions are rather occasional than systematic and planned. The main factors that hinder the development of modifications include the pressing nature of the curricula, the inflexible school schedule, the increased number of students in the classrooms, teachers' insufficient training, teachers' cautious attitudes, difficulties in cooperation between teachers, the lack of time for planning and preparation, lack of resources, pedagogical material, and equipment, the preference in the teacher-centered methodology, the one-dimensional use of curriculum, and treating all students as a homogeneous team of learners with common educational needs. The process of designing and developing a differentiated curriculum follows a series of interrelated steps that the teachers must take into account during the planning, the organization, and the implementation of their teaching intervention. The diagnostic evaluation of students with special educational needs is a developmental procedure that requires, through assessment of learning characteristics, skills, needs, interests, students' academic progress, diagnostic reports, observational information, psychological assessment, portfolio review. For students with mild educational needs, a selection of the basic learning objectives of the curriculum is sufficient. Students with more severe educational needs need a broader modification of objectives in most subjects that will include basic knowledge and skills of earlier stages in some courses and/or individualized intervention, but organized within the thematic unit of each course. The need for diversification and enrichment of the general curriculum does not mean the formation of a selective, limited and low quality educational framework. Every student needs a comprehensive, multidimensional and flexible educational program that will provide suitable access opportunities in all fields of knowledge. This additional knowledge and skills can be integrated as much as possible into the normal flow. In addition, they must be functionally connected to the curriculum of the classroom in order to acquire meaning for the students, but also to facilitate their practice through the school program. Core parameters in the preparation of differentiated programs are the continuous examination by teachers of the requirements set by the usual development of courses. Teachers care to find a realistic adaptation of the common teaching and presentation practices. This requires a long-term planning and good preparation, as well as flexibility during the teaching progress to deal with unforeseen situations as well as needs of each situation. Teachers implementing differentiated programs need a wide repertoire of alternative teaching methods and strategies, not necessarily specialized, to attract and retain the attention and interest of students. Students' active engagement and participation, to present step by step the learning objectives by accessing students' understanding, to implement the multisensory teaching approaches, to teach through imitation, role-playing practices, to paraphrase and reformulate instructions, to use technologies and multimedia, to implement practices of collaborative learning, to improve immediate, specific, and positive feedback. The organization of school space, time, and materials is very important for everyone, and especially students with intellectual disability whose learning performance lacks significantly in relation to their peers. Students especially benefit from a well-organized classroom with established routines, procedures, and rules, ensuring interdisciplinary communication, but also visual contact with the teacher, the board of the screen, placing students in front desk and closer to the teacher, avoiding external auditory and optical distractions are equally important factors. The rest of the class also plays an essential role in supporting students with educational needs. Through collaborative approaches and cultivating a climate of acceptance and solidarity towards diversity, classmates can help learning achievements, supervise weaker students, evaluate and enhance each student's different contribution. The learning activities and the teaching and supervisory material must be in line with the cognitive level of students, be appropriate to their age, and be relevant to their interests and experiences. Activities and tasks should be organized in small steps, complemented by appropriate and engaging material, and accompanied by ongoing guidance and feedback. The design and production of differentiated teaching materials may include procedures and actions such as transcriptions of texts and assignments into simpler vocabulary and syntactics, text shortening, simplified graphemes, underlying main points, formation of supplementary or alternative booklets with basic concepts, additional illustrations, use of new technologies, and a series of graded exercise with simpler typology. The assessment process provides information of the knowledge and skills acquired by students, as well as on the effectiveness of teaching intervention. The teachers check regularly and during lesson the achievement of learning objectives and provide continuous feedback, strengthening and rewarding, taking into account not only students' performance, but also their effort. Changes in the process and the criteria of evaluation are often required for students with intellectual disability. Graded evaluation activities, replacing difficult tasks, changing presentation of task, formatting questions and tests, simpler typology, alternative evaluation methods, observation, portfolio assessment, oral or recorded presentation, the existence of an individualized educational program, the support of special educational teacher, and the allocation of sufficient time for preparation, evaluation, records, and the cooperation facilitate the systematic assessment of students. The educational differentiation extends to a continuum that starts from limited adaptation of the objectives of the common curriculum proceeds to moderate for modifications of objectives and of pedagogical intervention, and dense and more demanding individualized modifications in didactic content, approach, and material. Different areas of the curriculum usually involve different level adjustment for students and may require increased differentiation in academic cognitive subject of senior classes. Teaching activities and organizational strategies are proposed that make it easier for the students with intellectual disability to attend and participate in the course following similar teaching objectives with their classmates. Students participate in courses following common goals, activities, teaching material, and evaluation methods with the rest of the classroom, but with differentiation in teaching approaches, as well as in the organization of time and space. Modifications are suggested in the activities, assignments, and the assessment of students with mild or moderate intellectual disability, so that they meet the main objectives of the educational program and curriculum. Students are involved in a common educational program, but their active participation requires differentiating teaching approaches, learning activities, educational material, and evaluation approaches. The students achieve part of the teaching objectives of the course and or participate in activities related to the subject area taught in their peers, and they are supported by different teaching approaches, material, and assessment. Students participate in activities related to all subject areas of the common curriculum, but the objectives refer to earlier stages of subject development using methods, material, and evaluation requiring systematic and individualized support. The division of the teaching material into distinct steps presupposes the systematic recording of the individual steps and short-term objectives of a project, an activity, or a long-term objective. The number of steps depends on the student who, in order to conquer one step, must first conquer the previous one. This process concerns the differentiation of learning process and curriculum content. A customized text that has been greatly simplified in order not to work restrictively should be enriched and invested with a variety of media, such as image, music, sound, visualization, reference material, etc. And activities that do not focus only on reading texts in order to support the active participation, understanding, learning, and educational development of all students. The adaptation should not be the main and only practice of differentiation, and above all, should not be applied in a one-dimensional way. The multisensory teaching approach concerns the activation of students' senses during the process with a visual, tactical, auditory, etc. stimuli. It refers to the differentiation of the final product, meaning the presentation of the curriculum. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Maria.
I'm sorry, I have a wide presentation. I talk too much.
No, it's okay. It's all right. You can unshare the screen if you
Yes.
wish. Yeah. You actually continued Martha's. You enriched Martha's topic, talking about the challenges in the curricula of intellectually challenged or disabled people. Few things I really like that you outlined: the role of teaching approach, role of the peer education, and supportive educational methods. Now I will invite the colleagues to ask questions or comments. No questions, no comments. Well, very good. I think you're the last of our participants. Hi, MBU conference. Any questions or comments on your behalf?
I don't see in the room. So.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay. Then I guess I have to thank, if there's no question or comment, I have to first thank our audience to have listened to us, and then all the presenters, Cornelia, Janine, Marias, we have two Marias, Marta. I think we missed Alexandros. That's why we're a bit early than planned. Thank you very much, guys. You were fantastic. I hope everyone enjoyed the information you passed on to us, and you also enjoyed your participation in this conference session. I will send an email to exchange presentations, and please, I will request for the technical, the colleagues that are recording the session to give me access to the recording so I can share it with all our participants. Okay, they're clapping to you. I mean, I cannot hear it, but they're hand clapping. Well, I guess thus I'll close the session. I will wish everyone a nice Saturday afternoon.
Thank you.
Thanks. And I hope to see you soon.
Thank you too, Miss Kamensky.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice holiday.
And thank you on behalf of the room as well.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Yeah. Thank you. And for your time.
Have a nice weekend.